In this video, you're going to learn a mental game strategy that you can use to manage poor mechanics. Hey there, I'm Eli Straw, mental game coach and the founder of SuccessStartsWithin.com. Now before we get into the video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you're an athlete looking to improve your mental game. I put out new videos each day on sports psychology and mental training. Now I work with a lot of athletes on improving their mental game because when they improve their mindset, that then leads to greater success for them on the field or court. But one thing that we have to be honest about is, are your actual mechanics not as good as they need to be? And if your mechanics aren't as good as they need to be, then yes, higher levels of confidence and more focus are going to help you, but if you're really looking for that peak level of performance, then you need to make sure that you are pairing high-level skills, so really fine-tuned mechanics, with high-level mental skills. So the exercise that I use whenever I'm working with an athlete, and we've identified that, yeah, there are some skills that they need to improve, is a personal evaluation exercise. And this is going to be a little bit like a skills assessment. So think if you went to a tryout or if you went and joined a new team, the coaches are probably going to evaluate you. They're going to look at you, they're going to evaluate all the aspects of your game. You can do the same thing for yourself. So what you can do is make two lists. The first list is going to be your strengths. You first want to list out your strengths because with pretty much everything that I do with athletes, whether it's thinking about how you did this game or just looking at your skills in general, we want to make sure that we're identifying strengths, number one, to improve your confidence so that you're not coming at this from a standpoint of thinking, oh, I'm terrible. You are recognizing that there are certain strengths you have, but also because you want to make sure that you still build on your strengths. Because if you ignore that strength and only focus on your weaknesses, then that strength may turn into a weakness while those weaknesses turn into strengths, and then you're kind of finding yourself in this cycle. So you first want to identify your strengths. Then what you want to do is you want to be very honest with yourself, and you want to identify your weaknesses. What are the main areas within your game right now, or in terms of your mechanics, that you really need to work on? Once you have those outlined, what you can do from there is reverse engineer it a little bit. Take each one of the weaknesses you outlined and identified, and get very specific about what about this skill or what about my mechanics do I really need to work on? Then what you do from there is you create a plan. This plan is going to be your practice plan to make sure that you are taking what you identified in that exercise where you identified, okay, this is the weakness that I need to work on. These are the specific skills or aspects of that weakness that I want to improve. And then this is how I'm going to improve it. Now I'm going to put it into practice and really get working moving forward on actually improving that weakness. This is a very similar strategy that I use in terms of working on an athlete's mindset. Because if we identify that their confidence right now is a weakness, then what I do is say, okay, what about your confidence do we need to improve? So what specific parts of your game do we need to build trust in? And then we identify some specific mental training exercises and tools that we're going to use, and then we put them into practice. So for your physical skills, if right now you are struggling with what you see as poor mechanics, you have to be honest with yourself and say, okay, these are the areas that I'm struggling with right now. But the only way to improve those physical skills and to improve those mechanics is to get to work. But you don't just want to be getting to work kind of blindly. You want to make sure that you are working on specific things that you've identified are going to help you improve that skill and turn that weakness into a strength. So if you're a soccer player and you identified that dribbling or shooting is a weakness right now, or if you're a baseball pitcher and you identified that your curveball is a weakness, or you found some other thing about your mechanics that you want to work on, the off season is a perfect time for you to really focus on improving those mechanics. Because when we're working on improving mechanics, we also are working on building new muscle memory. One of the basketball players I was working with, he wanted to really improve his shot because he found that his shot right now wasn't as good as he wanted it to be from a mechanical standpoint. And if he could improve his shot mechanics, that would lead to more consistent outcomes for him during games. But we talked about how difficult it is to work on that during a season. I dealt with the same thing when I was playing baseball, and I deal with the same thing when I'm working with baseball players in terms of their swing. It's very difficult to change your mechanics in the middle of the season because you are dealing with muscle memory. Now, we can slowly start working on those, but what you have to realize is that if you are in a season, so back to that basketball player example, he was kind of ending his season when he started really focusing on his mechanics. And so what I said was, in practices and training, you can really focus on building and improving this new muscle memory. But during games, you have to let go. You can't try during games to try to be perfect with your new mechanics, because you have to realize that building that muscle memory takes time. So if you are in a season right now and you're wanting to improve your mechanics, you can focus on doing so during practices and training. But then whenever it comes to an actual competition, you have to let go and say, okay, today I'm as good as I'm going to be. My mechanics are what they're going to be today. Now it's time to just perform with confidence. So that's an exercise that you can use if right now you feel like you have some poor mechanics and you really want to work on improving those skills within your game. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And I want to say thank you for watching, and I wish you the best of success in all that you do. If you're interested in learning more about one-on-one mental performance coaching, head over to successstartswithin.com.